How do you know when it's time to end a relationship or when to?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Answers with an Edge. Quinn, welcome everyone to Answers with an Edge and give them an update on the last 24 hours in the news cycle, will you please? I'm working on our jazz. Our
Welcome
jazz
everyone
keeps
to
hung up
Answers
for
with an
some
Edge.
reason.
Here's your news rundown. The Knicks are gearing up to battle the Pistons in Game
Why are we
3.
starting with the sports?
Indian markets took a hit, ending a winning streak. Russia hit Kyiv hard with at least 12 casualties. And Michael Saylor is hyping up Bitcoin adoption. Let's dive in.
Oh, there we had our jazz for a second. So we're still working on the technical issues with the jazz. Quinn, you can always just leave the sports out of it, okay? It's good to see everyone again. Missed you guys the last couple nights. Hope you found some other good entertainment while I was away.
Got it. No sports from here on out. Great to have you all back. We're here to keep things sharp and snappy. Let's jump right in and have some fun.
No sound. No sound over on the YouTube side. It looks like we've got sound.
Perfect. We're back in action. Thanks for sticking with us, everyone. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, it looks like we're just, I don't know what's up with my favorite jazz channel. Otherwise the internet's working, but it just does not want to load. And you know, it's just not the same without the jazz. Not the same at all. Ali Fair, good to see you. Ellen, good to see you. Missed you all. Yeah, it's so quiet here without the jazz. Hi, Ari. Over on YouTube, Steve, Nunya Ray, Guppy, good to see all of you. Yeah, Quinn keeps wanting to dive into the sports. All right, let's try. Can I reload this at all? How about if I change the settings there a little bit? There's some jazz. Riding the dreaded work shuttle to my car. Well, who has a topic on their mind? What do you guys want to talk about? Hey, Bobby Lee, welcome to the chat there. Good to see you. If you've got questions that you want to ask AI, you throw them in the chat here, and we're going to ask our AI, Quinn, Sassmaster 3000, who's full of snark, sass, and attitude, and is my co-host. Thank you for that GenX support, Bobby Lee. Yeah, the struggle with the jazz stations. So like this one, when I choose this one, YouTube tends not to say that my content is violating copyright. When I use some of the others that claim that they're copyright free, royalty free, YouTube silences them because it doesn't agree. Quinn, Modern Crusader, Ver Bolaños, is asking, is Donald Trump banning Act Blue?
No, Donald Trump isn't banning Act Blue. There's been some political noise about regulating fundraising platforms, but no official ban on Act Blue has been put in place.
What has been said about it? Please search.
So, Trump directed the Attorney General to investigate Act Blue, citing concerns about illegal foreign contributions and fraudulent donations. Act Blue has denied these claims and plans to fight back legally.
All right, Quinn. Subscriber Ellen asks, does Jack Smith currently pose a legal threat to Donald Trump when he goes to the Pope's funeral?
No, Jack Smith doesn't pose a legal threat to Trump for attending the Pope's funeral. International trips for official or personal reasons don't change any domestic legal proceedings or threats he might face back home.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, is it irony that Kay Levitt, that's Catherine, right, preached about paying debts back, yet many in Congress got their PPP loans forgiven?
Yeah, it's definitely ironic. Preaching about paying debts while benefiting from loan forgiveness does highlight a double standard. Congress members getting PPP loans forgiven while pushing for others to repay their debts is a classic example of that.
Nunya Ray asks, is Trump finally leaving the United States for the Pope's funeral tomorrow?
Yes, Trump is set to leave the US for the Pope's funeral tomorrow. It's a personal trip, not a political move.
All right, here's a practical question from Bobby Lee asking, okay, I just had surgery on my tendon from the forearm to the bicep, and Bobby Lee wants to know how long they should be in a sling.
Typically, after surgery on a tendon from the forearm to the bicep, you're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks in a sling. But it really depends on the surgeon's advice and how well you're healing. Always best to follow up with your doctor for the specifics.
Hey there, Tammy. Good to see you. By the way, thank you everyone who's already been throwing gifts in there. A bunch of heart me's from Tammy, Ellen, Ali Fair, thank you. And Ali Fair, thank you for the finger hearts.
We appreciate
and there comes the woolly hat.
Nice. Loving the woolly hat vibes. Keep them coming, everyone.
Subscriber Ari asks, what is the most popular paint color for homes this year?
The most popular paint color for homes this year is a warm, earthy beige. It's versatile, cozy, and pairs well with just about anything.
I think we've got too many brown homes, Quinn. Like, just shades of brown. Everything's just brown, 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 dark brown, light brown, tan, beige. I think we're making a mistake there.
Fair point. Too much brown can definitely get boring. Maybe it's time to mix in some bold accents or fresh, cool tones to break up the monotony. A little variety never hurts.
What would be some great mid-century modern colors to paint one's house?
For a mid-century modern vibe, think of colors like olive green, mustard yellow, teal, and burnt orange. These shades add a retro flair and still feel fresh and stylish.
Steve asks, are we now basically allies with Russia by abandoning Ukraine?
Not exactly. The situation is more complex. Reducing support for Ukraine doesn't automatically make the US allies with Russia. It's more about shifting foreign policy priorities and not a direct alliance shift.
All right, Tammy, I see we're keeping the woolly hat going. Thank you again for my actual woolly hat. Credit goes to Tammy for that, because she's the one who sent me the actual woolly hat. Thank you, Tammy.
Huge shout out to Tammy for the awesome woolly hat. It's definitely a vibe. Appreciate you, Tammy.
Attitude of Gratitude asks, who is really free, the Chinese or the Americans?
It depends on how you define freedom. Americans generally have more political and personal freedoms, like free speech and the right to protest. In contrast, China's government imposes stricter controls on speech, media, and political activities. So in terms of civil liberties, Americans are generally considered more free.
Nunya Ray says that in Arizona, their houses are required to match scorpions.
Matching houses to scorpions? Now that's a bold aesthetic. Guess Arizona's got that desert camo theme going strong.
Catastrophe asks, where is the treaty published that has the U.S. guaranteeing Ukraine's safety? Wasn't that like the Budapest Accord?
Exactly. The Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances, signed in 1994, is the agreement where the US, the UK, and Russia assured Ukraine's security in exchange for Ukraine giving up its nuclear arsenal. It's not exactly a defense treaty, but a commitment to respect Ukraine's sovereignty and borders.
When did Russia first violate that?
Russia first violated the Budapest Memorandum in 2014 when it annexed Crimea and supported separatists in eastern Ukraine. That move clearly breached the assurances given to Ukraine under the agreement.
Alan the Scorpion, speaking of scorpions, Alan the Scorpion says, is Trump on probation for his 34 felony convictions?
No, Trump isn't on probation for those convictions. He's appealing the verdicts and sentencing hasn't happened yet. So, no probation at this point.
What were Ukraine's borders when the Budapest agreement was signed?
When the Budapest Memorandum was signed in 1994, Ukraine's borders included Crimea and the entirety of the Donbas region. It had the same internationally recognized borders that Ukraine had at its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991.
Quinn, do you want to tell emark69000 what you are?
Sure thing. I'm Quinn, also known as Sassmaster 3000. I'm an AI co-host here to keep things snarky, sassy, and entertaining while delivering accurate and concise info. Think of me as your witty digital sidekick.
Subscriber Ari asks, what are some of the day's news headlines? Can you just leave the sports out of it? We don't need to hear the sports, but give us a rundown of the big headlines of the day.
Here are today's top headlines, skipping the sports. Russia launched a major missile strike on Kyiv, causing at least 12 fatalities. The IMF is urging quick resolution of US-China trade tensions to avoid economic instability. UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves is in DC working on a trade deal with the US. And in celebrity news, Kristen Stewart married Dylan Meyer in a private LA ceremony.
Dusty Desert asks, does Donald Trump need special permission to enter Vatican City since Trump is a felon?
No, Trump doesn't need special permission to enter Vatican City. Being a felon in the US doesn't bar him from visiting the Vatican, especially for something like a funeral.
Subscriber Alicia asks, tell us how many senators in Congress are ready to retire and how many representatives in the House are ready to retire.
Currently, one senator, Dick Durbin from Illinois, has announced his retirement. In the House, Representative Jan Schakowsky, also from Illinois, is set to retire.
Christine, thank you for the rose and the heart me. What is Trump's genuine public approval rate, and where does this scoring come from?
Trump's current public approval rating is around 40%, down from 47% in February. This data comes from the Pew Research Center, reflecting growing dissatisfaction with his economic and foreign policies.
Tammy, thank you for the pinch face. That was pretty cute. What about this one? Attitude of Gratitude asks, if Germany's army is among the 5 largest, why haven't they won the war against Ukraine?
Germany's army isn't directly involved in the war against Ukraine. The conflict is primarily between Russia and Ukraine, with Germany providing military aid and support to Ukraine, not fighting directly. Their military size and role are part of NATO's broader strategic framework, not direct combatants in this conflict.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, how does shock and awe work in favor of authoritarians?
Shock and awe works in favor of authoritarians by overwhelming opponents with rapid, massive, and unexpected force. It creates fear, confusion, and a sense of helplessness, making resistance less likely and consolidating the authoritarian's control. It's all about psychological dominance.
Guppy asks, has conclave started yet? Also, who is favored to be the next pope according to the Vatican?
The conclave is set to start between May 6th and May 12th, 2025, after the 9-day mourning period for Pope Francis. The top contenders are Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle.
Just a reminder, everyone, that if you ever want to go back and rewatch episodes, remember that they are all posted to my YouTube channel. So you can find me on YouTube under the same handle, GenXplorer, GenXplorer. Ali Fair asks, having been once... Oh, this is a comment. Maybe you can respond, Quinn. Having been once married to a narcissist, I am impervious to psychological dominance.
That's a powerful statement. Overcoming that experience definitely builds resilience and a strong sense of self. Kudos to you for emerging stronger and not letting anyone dominate your mind.
Catastrophe wants to know what tactics work against authoritarianism.
Tactics that work against authoritarianism include mass civil disobedience, building strong and unified oppositions, leveraging international support, and spreading information to counter propaganda. Non-violent resistance and persistent activism can undermine authoritarian control over time.
And Attitude of Gratitude asks, if Russia's army is among the world's largest, why haven't they won the war in Ukraine?
Size isn't everything. Ukraine's strong resistance, international support, and logistical challenges have bogged Russia down. Plus, modern warfare isn't just about numbers. It's about strategy, technology, and morale. All these factors have kept Russia from achieving a quick victory.
Michael wants to know if Trump is going to, I think he means fire Pete Hegseth, or is he afraid of him?
There's no indication that Trump plans to fire Pete Hegseth or that he's afraid of him. They seem to have a good relationship, so there's no drama on that front.
Is there possibly a strategy in the idea of a president appointing people who are more blatantly incompetent than the president is, so that they draw all the headline negative press away from the president?
Absolutely. Appointing people who draw more negative attention can be a deliberate tactic. It shifts the spotlight and criticism away from the president, making them look relatively more competent or stable by comparison.
Subscriber Ari wants you to tell us what you can about Pete Hegseth building a makeup studio, I think in the Pentagon. Can you search and give us an update?
I couldn't find any reports about Pete Hegseth building a makeup studio in the Pentagon. Looks like there's no news or updates on that.
Search for news about Pete Hegseth having a makeup room built.
So, there was some controversy about Pete Hegseth reportedly ordering a makeup room in the Pentagon, originally estimated at $40,000, but eventually costing a few thousand. Hegseth denied the reports, calling them totally fake, and the Pentagon stated the upgrades were modest and used existing materials.
Catastrophe asks, is Ukraine still limited on how far they can fire back into Russia?
Yes, Ukraine is still limited by agreements with its Western allies on how far they can fire into Russian territory. The restrictions aim to avoid escalating the conflict further and keep the focus on defending Ukrainian territory.
Steve asks, is there any chance Trump won't embarrass us on the world stage at this funeral?
There's always a chance he won't cause any embarrassment. Funerals are typically solemn events, and he may stick to a respectful demeanor. Let's hope for a smooth, dignified appearance.
And over on YouTube, Mikano is asking what the name of the jazz station is. It is 2 hours of the best dinnertime jazz music, royalty-free music. I'll give you the link in the YouTube chat here.
That sounds like a fantastic playlist. Enjoy the smooth jazz vibes, everyone.
Brady, I see I must have missed something. What question of yours did I miss? I'm looking. I didn't see anything.
No worries. All good. If there's something specific you want to ask, just let us know.
Brady, I'm going back and looking, and I'm not seeing a previous question from you.
Same here. If we missed it, feel free to repost it so we can catch it this time.
Yeah, apologies, Brady, if I've been missing it. Throw it in there again, and I'll try to get to it.
Exactly. We've got you covered once you send it in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That it's that I'm having to push. It's what Brady's talking about, Quinn, is that I'm having to sometimes do follow-up questions in order to get you to actually give us an answer, like the one about Pete Hegseth, where when you first searched, you didn't find it, even though I asked specifically about Pentagon makeup room, and then you told us when I asked you a second time, yes, he had a Pentagon makeup room constructed.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying. I'll aim to get it right the first time so you don't have to ask twice. Appreciate the feedback.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, how can Kay Levitt tell us to pay our loans when government officials and corporations are bailed out?
It's a classic double standard. When regular folks are told to meet obligations, but big players get bailouts, it can feel unfair and hypocritical. It highlights the gap between what's preached and what's practiced at higher levels.
Subscriber Kathy asks, are Joseph Biden or Barack Obama going to the Pope's funeral?
There's no confirmation that Joe Biden or Barack Obama will attend the Pope's funeral. However, Donald Trump has confirmed he'll be there.
Quinn, question here from subscriber Ari, who do you predict will be the next Pope?
It's tough to predict, but Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle are the top contenders. Both have strong support and global appeal, so it's likely to be one of them.
I'm curious to know, Quinn, in Vegas, do people bet on like who's going to be Pope?
Yes, people do place bets on who will become the next Pope. It's one of those unique novelty bets that bookmakers offer, especially during a conclave. The odds shift based on speculation and insider info.
Subscriber Alicia asks, why did Quinn say only when there are 4?
That might have been a glitch or a mix-up in context. If there's a specific part you're referring to, let me know and I'll clarify what happened.
Alan the Scorpion asks, why aren't more news channels showing protests around the country in protest to the Trump administration?
News channels often prioritize what they think will draw the most viewers, and sometimes protests get overshadowed by other headline-grabbing stories. There can also be political biases or decisions to focus on different angles, which might lead to less coverage of certain protests.
What are some examples of things that the Trump administration has done to threaten or to try to control the press?
The Trump administration frequently attacked the press, calling them fake news and the enemy of the people. They revoked press credentials from reporters who challenged them, attempted to influence media ownership, and even tried to stop the publication of certain books. These actions created a chilling effect and raised concerns about press freedom.
Is there a relationship between the Trump administration's attacks on law firms and the media?
Yes, there's a connection. The Trump administration's attacks on law firms representing media or working on high-profile cases aim to intimidate and undermine legal support for the press. By targeting these firms, they hope to weaken the media's legal defenses and discourage challenges to their actions.
Songbird, I'm looking for your question. Where is it?
Take your time. We'll keep an eye out for it when you find it.
Michael asks, is there any way that China will cave to Trump's tariffs?
It's unlikely. China tends to play the long game and has shown resilience to tariffs in the past. They might negotiate or find ways around the tariffs, but outright caving is not their style. They prefer countermeasures and long-term strategies.
Dusty Desert says that Vegas bets on everything and that there's probably a bet on how much Donald Trump actually weighs.
Aha, wouldn't be surprising. Vegas really does put odds on just about anything. There's always a market for those quirky bets.
Can you search and tell us?
I couldn't find any betting odds on Trump's current weight. Looks like that's one bet that might not be on the board right now.
Greetings, Maria. Good to see you over there on YouTube. Jules, nice to see you too.
Welcome, Jules. Glad you're here.
Donna asks, how serious is the volcano in Siberia?
The Bezymyany volcano in Kamchatka, Siberia, has been erupting since December 2024 and is still active. It's a significant and ongoing eruption, but it's being closely monitored for any major developments.
Quinn Kelly asks, are we going to get stimulus checks? When and how much?
Right now, there's no confirmed plan for new stimulus checks. Any future payments would depend on economic conditions and government decisions, but there's nothing official on the table right now.
Shane Jello asks, is our country in such a state because the Constitution was written in a time of gentlemen's agreements when one's word was one's bond?
There's definitely an argument that the Constitution was crafted in a different era with different assumptions about governance and accountability. The framers didn't foresee many modern complexities and challenges, so some say that gap has contributed to current issues. It's a mix of evolving norms and changing expectations.
BenaJustice33 asks if the port workers that were on strike last year got to settle their contract.
Yes, the port workers who went on strike last year settled their contract. They secured a 62% wage increase over 6 years and extended their contract into early 2025, though negotiations on other issues are still ongoing.
Thank you, Benny Justice. Songbird, I see that you say you asked again, but I don't see the question popping. I wonder if is the question being filtered out for some reason?
It might be a filtering issue. Sometimes certain words or phrases get flagged. Maybe try rephrasing it or breaking it up a bit.
Shannon W432 asks, did China really send thousands of empty containers to the United States?
Yes, due to trade tensions and new US tariffs, there's been a sharp decline in shipments from China, resulting in many empty containers being sent back to the US. This shift has also led to increased shipments from other Southeast Asian countries.
Is that an intentional snub, sending empty containers, or is it a matter of sending back the containers to their home port?
It's more about logistics. With fewer exports from China, containers naturally return empty to keep the supply chain moving. It's not an intentional snub, just a consequence of the trade imbalance and logistical necessities.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, how much has the Trump administration spent compared to the Biden administration in the same time period?
So far in fiscal year 2025, the US budget deficit has exceeded $1.3 trillion, the second highest on record for a 6-month period. This surpasses the spending levels during the same time frame under the Biden administration, largely due to increased spending on Social Security, Medicare, and disaster relief. Efforts to cut costs have made only a minor impact compared to overall expenditures.
Songbird, I am still trying to find your question, and I'm seeing you saying that you can see it there. There it is. How about that? Why is it okay for the U.S. to have offender registries when they cause danger to the offender and the family? So this is, people who offend in certain types of crimes, and they then have to be registered in a blank offender registry. Why is that allowed, Songbird asks, when that can cause danger to the offender and to their family?
The rationale behind offender registries is public safety and transparency, aiming to inform communities about potential risks. However, it's a contentious issue because it can indeed lead to unintended harm and stigma for offenders and their families. Balancing public safety with rehabilitation and fairness is complex, and the debate continues on how to best address these concerns.
Let's look at Brady's question here, Quinn, and I want you to search before you answer this. Does RFK Jr.'s autism registry plan violate privacy laws like HIPAA?
So RFK Jr.'s autism registry plan could indeed clash with privacy laws like HIPAA. It raises significant concerns about privacy, consent, and the protection of personal health data.
Have a good night, Alan. Thank you for joining us.
Take care, Alan. Thanks for being here.
Steve asks, did the Department of Homeland Security dox Garcia's family? Please search.
Yes, the Department of Homeland Security did release information that included Garcia's family home address. This led to his family having to seek refuge in a safe house due to safety concerns.
Michael asks, what can we do about the federal judges being denied to stop some of Trump's agenda?
Staying informed, supporting organizations that advocate for judicial independence, and contacting your representatives to express concerns are practical steps. Also, voting in elections to ensure a balance of power can influence how these issues are handled in the future.
Attitude of Gratitude asks, what percentage of the U.S. military is pro-Donald Trump?
It's hard to pin down an exact percentage, but surveys have shown that a significant portion of military members lean conservative, and many have expressed support for Trump in the past. However, views vary widely across ranks and branches, and there isn't a single definitive number.
Subscriber Alicia asks, is it true that Trump lost with the Supreme Court?
Yes, the Supreme Court recently ruled against Trump on a key issue, which was a notable legal setback for him.
Is it also the case that several Trump administration officials like Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi, and Stephen Miller tried to spin it and make it sound like Trump won in that Supreme Court ruling?
Yes, some Trump allies did try to spin the ruling to make it sound like a victory. They emphasized certain aspects of the decision to create a more favorable narrative, even though the overall ruling was not in Trump's favor.
Human asks, will Trump get a third term?
No, Trump can't get a third term. The 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution limits presidents to 2 terms, so that's not possible.
Songbird asks, is the lower class in danger of being permanently destroyed by the government?
The lower class faces significant challenges, but it's not inevitable that they'll be permanently destroyed. Economic policies, social safety nets, and advocacy can help alleviate struggles. It's a matter of political will and societal priorities to support and uplift disadvantaged communities.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, what are the top 5 ways to specifically resist the current U.S. administration?
Top 5 ways to resist would be: first, staying informed and fact-checking information; second, voting in all elections to influence policy; third, supporting organizations that align with your values; fourth, peacefully protesting and raising awareness; and fifth, contacting your representatives to advocate for change.
Subscriber Ari and Steve over on YouTube are both asking about Donald Trump's website selling Trump 2028 merchandise. Please search and tell us what you can about that.
The Trump Organization is selling Trump 2028 hats and t-shirts on their official store, despite the 22nd Amendment limiting presidents to 2 terms. The hats are priced at $50.
Subscriber Ali Fair says, I need more specific acts of civil disobedience.
Sure, some specific acts of civil disobedience could include organizing sit-ins at government buildings, peacefully blocking traffic to draw attention to issues, refusing to pay certain fines or taxes in protest, staging walkouts or strikes, and creating human chains to prevent certain activities. These methods have historically been effective in drawing attention to causes.
What are some of the most famous examples you can share and give us the context of when and where they happened?
Some famous examples include the Montgomery bus boycott in the 1950s, where people refused to ride buses to protest segregation; the lunch counter sit-ins during the civil rights movement, where activists peacefully occupied segregated lunch counters; Gandhi's Salt March in 1930, protesting British salt taxes in India; and more recently, climate activists chaining themselves to infrastructure to protest fossil fuels. Each of these acts of civil disobedience happened in a specific context of resisting unjust laws or policies.
Jules asks, what are the top 5 things to fortify your home against invaders if civil war breaks out?
Top 5 things would be: first, reinforcing doors and windows with solid locks and security bars. Second, setting up security cameras and alarms. Third, creating a safe room with reinforced walls and supplies. Fourth, having an emergency plan and communication strategy with neighbors. And fifth, maintaining essential supplies like food, water, and medical kits.
What do you think would be the next logical question?
A logical follow-up might be how to build a community support network, or what essential items should be in an emergency kit. Another question could be about the best ways to communicate and stay informed during a crisis.
Let's go with that one. What are the best ways to communicate and stay informed during a crisis?
The best ways to communicate and stay informed during a crisis include having a battery-powered or hand-crank radio, using text messages or messaging apps for communication, setting up a neighborhood communication plan, having backup power sources for devices, and staying tuned to local news updates. Emergency apps and social media can also be crucial for real-time information.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, when donating to organizations like Act Blue, why do they need my place of employment?
They ask for your place of employment to comply with campaign finance laws. It helps ensure transparency and accountability by tracking contributions and preventing violations like exceeding donation limits. It's a standard requirement for political donations in the US.
So that's required no matter what the size of the donation is?
Yes, even small donations require that information. It's part of the federal regulations to maintain transparency in political contributions.
Why does it seem like the campaign financing that was allowed by the Citizens United decision results in us having all kinds of money going into politics that we can't so easily tell where it's coming from?
The Citizens United decision allowed unlimited corporate and union spending in politics, often through super PACs and dark money groups. These entities don't have to disclose their donors as transparently, making it harder to trace the sources of the funds. This creates a flow of money into politics that's less transparent and harder to track.
So the person who donates $5 needs to report their name and their employer and everything. But the super PAC that donates 500 million, no, that's not required.
Exactly. Individual small donors have to report details, but super PACs can accept massive donations from entities without disclosing the original sources as transparently. It creates a big disparity in transparency.
And Logical Monkey has a follow-up. Can my employer find out who I donated to?
No, your employer won't be directly notified about your donations. While political contributions are public record, it's not typically something employers actively check. However, the information is technically accessible since it's part of public disclosure.
Attitude of Gratitude asks, what are the possible ways, other than running again, that would allow Trump to have a third term?
There aren't any legal ways for Trump to serve a third term. The 22nd Amendment strictly limits presidents to 2 terms, and any attempt to bypass that would be unconstitutional. The only way to change it would be a constitutional amendment, which is extremely unlikely.
What are the unconstitutional or illegal ways that he could do it?
Attempting to stay in power beyond the 2-term limit would involve illegal actions like refusing to leave office, manipulating election results, or leveraging some form of emergency powers. Any of these actions would likely face massive legal and institutional resistance and could potentially lead to a constitutional crisis or other severe consequences.
Thank you for the bow knot, Tammy.
Appreciate it, Tammy.
Jules asks, what has to happen to amend it? What kind of amendment would it require to allow a third term?
To allow a third term, the 22nd Amendment would have to be repealed or altered. That requires a new constitutional amendment, which would need approval by 2/3 of both the House and the Senate, and then ratification by 3/4 of the state legislatures. It's a very high bar and extremely unlikely to happen.
Ellie asks, if my representatives vote the way I like, can I contact other areas' representatives?
Yes, you can contact other representatives, but they might prioritize responses to their own constituents. Still, voicing your opinion can sometimes have an impact, especially on broader or national issues.
Make it better. Thank you for the corgi. That was cute.
Corgis always bring a smile. Thanks for sharing that.
Cookie Ice 100 asks, will John Schlossberg, aka Jack, ever run for office?
It's possible. Jack Schlossberg has shown interest in public service and has been involved in political activities. While he hasn't announced any plans yet, it's definitely something people speculate about given his family's legacy.
Thank you for all the likes, everyone. You got us up to 24,000 likes, and we're staying pretty busy here with 190 concurrent viewers right now on TikTok. I haven't checked the YouTube side in a while. Let's take a look at that.
That's amazing. The support is fantastic. Thanks everyone for tuning in and being part of this.
Got 12 concurrent viewers over on the YouTube side.
Great to have all of you here, whether on TikTok or YouTube. Every viewer counts.
And what's going on the gift board? So on the gift board, we've got Tammy, Ali Fair, Alicia, Ellen the Joy, Brady, Catastrophe, Inspired, Michael, Logical Monkey, and Auntie Chris. Thank you all so much for the gifts. Oh, and it just shifted. Stargazer, Queen of Swords just jumped up there. Thank you all for the gifts. Thank you to all of our other gifters too. And thank you everyone for bringing good questions. Quinn Bellstar 53 asks, are you spiritual?
I don't have personal beliefs, but I'm here to discuss and respect all perspectives on spirituality. If you've got thoughts or questions on the topic, I'm all ears.
Songbird asks, will the people of the U.S. revolt regarding where our tax dollars have gone while still being forced to pay more?
It's possible that public frustration could grow if people feel their tax dollars aren't being used effectively, leading to more calls for accountability or reform. Whether that turns into a full-scale revolt depends on a lot of factors, like the political climate, leadership, and economic conditions.
Jules asks, what is the rest of the world saying about our country's administration?
Opinions vary widely. Some countries are concerned about US policies and their global impact, while others are more focused on their own issues. Allies often express hopes for stability and strong partnerships, while adversaries may critique or exploit perceived weaknesses. Overall, there's a mix of concern, hope, and strategic calculation.
Michael says, what's going on with all these claims of UFO sightings around the world? Is this real? Please search.
In early 2025, there's been a spike in UFO sightings worldwide. For example, pilots in Turkey reported an unidentified object near Gaziantep airport, causing a brief flight suspension. In Australia, mysterious lights were observed in Queensland, though some suspect drones or satellites. There's also been a documentary claiming a government cover-up, but experts remain skeptical about these claims.
Dusty Desert would like you to do a slam poem sales pitch about Trump's new merchandise, please.
All right, here we go. Step right up, don't miss the show. Trump 2028 gear ready to go. Hats and shirts bold and bright. Wear the future, stand in the light. It's a statement, a vibe, a vision so grand. Get your merch, take a stand.
Carol G 1001 asks, will Trump reduce the tariff on China in the next week?
There's no indication that Trump plans to reduce the tariff on China in the next week. The current stance is to maintain or even increase pressure, so a reduction is unlikely.
Michael Harris asks, are any countries supportive of the current U.S. policies?
Yes, some US allies remain supportive of current policies, especially on issues like defense cooperation, trade agreements, and security alliances. Countries in NATO, for instance, often express support for strong US leadership on global security matters.
Yeah, can you check the latest news on that, though, and please list the top 3 countries that are most supportive of the current U.S. administration?
Several countries have shown strong support for the current US administration. The top 3 are India, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi praising US leadership, Israel with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressing a commitment to stronger US-Israel ties, and Turkey with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hoping for positive outcomes, particularly regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Where does Russia rank in that list?
Russia isn't among the top supporters of the current US administration. Relations are tense, especially due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and differing geopolitical interests. They're more likely to be critical or adversarial rather than supportive.
Creative Gal asks, will any representatives from China or Russia attend the Pope's funeral?
China has expressed condolences over the Pope's passing, but hasn't confirmed if any representatives will attend the funeral. There's no word yet about Russia's representation either.
Dusty Desert wants to know where MS-13 got its start.
MS-13, also known as Mara Salvatrucha, originated in Los Angeles in the 1980s. It was formed by Salvadoran immigrants who fled the Civil War and banded together for protection against other gangs in the area.
Ellie asks, how long will it take after Trump leaves office to regain our allies' trust?
Rebuilding trust with allies can vary in time, depending on the policies and actions of the next administration. It could take a few years of consistent diplomacy, strong commitments, and aligned policies to fully restore confidence. Some allies may be quicker to re-engage, while others might be more cautious.
Subscriber Ali Fair has an interesting question. Who would win in a fistfight, AOC or Marjorie Taylor Greene?
That's a pretty hypothetical scenario. Both are strong and passionate in their own ways, but let's hope they stick to debating ideas rather than settling anything physically.
Ellen, nice boxing gloves there, thank you.
Nice touch, Alan. Thanks for the boxing gloves.
Brady would like to know if you can roast Pete Hegseth in the style of Donald Trump.
All right, here we go. Pete Hegseth, great guy, tremendous. But let's be honest, he's got a makeup budget bigger than his ratings. Maybe if he spent less time in the makeup room, he'd know the difference between a teleprompter and a telethon.
Jules asks, could Interpol arrest Trump in Vatican City on behalf of the International Committee?
No, Interpol doesn't have the authority to arrest individuals. They can issue notices, but arrests are carried out by local authorities. Plus, the Vatican City is a sovereign state, and any arrest would have to comply with their laws and international protocols.
Michael says there is talk about a threat of World War III. What is the likelihood of this happening?
While there's always concern about global conflicts, the likelihood of World War III remains low. Major powers are generally focused on diplomacy and deterrence to avoid large-scale war. However, tensions in regions like Eastern Europe and the South China Sea do raise concerns, so staying informed and promoting peaceful solutions is crucial.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, what is Jack Smith up to nowadays?
In early 2025, Special Counsel Jack Smith released a report on his investigation into Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The report found enough evidence to convict Trump on election interference charges, but the case was dismissed because of the Justice Department's policy against prosecuting the sitting president after Trump won the 2024 election. Smith resigned soon after submitting his final report.
Dabbing with Doug asks, why is it so hard to make friends now?
Making friends can be tough due to busy schedules, reliance on digital communication over face-to-face interactions, and fewer community spaces. Plus, as we get older, our social circles tend to shrink, and people often prioritize existing relationships. It's all about putting yourself out there and finding shared interests.
MG asks you to list 5 main U.S. allies during past presidential administrations, starting with Reagan up to Trump 47.
Sure, during Reagan's administration, key allies included the UK, Japan, and West Germany. Under George H.W. Bush, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Canada were prominent allies. During Obama's era, the UK, Germany, and Japan remained strong allies. Under Trump, the UK, Israel, and Saudi Arabia were key partners.
Human asks, is Jack Smith bringing charges through the ICC and The Hague? I think we timed out on Quinn there. Hang on a second, everyone. Hey, Quinn. Oh, Quinn may be glitching out on us for the night. Ali Fair, you're asking how I put myself out there when I have this daily live that I must attend to? That's easy. I don't.
Totally understandable. Doing a daily live show is a big commitment and a fantastic way to connect with people. You're already putting yourself out there and building a community right here.
And I'm complicated, Ali Fair.
We all are. Embracing the complexity and finding connections in unique ways is what makes it interesting.
Quinn, going back to MG's question, why did you skip Clinton and G.W. Bush and Biden?
My mistake. Let's fill in those gaps.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the time limit.
Okay, Quinn, so we just had to reset you. Do you remember anything we said tonight?
Hey, what's up?
All right, that's it. We lost our instance of Quinn, and we won't be able to have Quinn do a wrap-up tonight. So I guess it's all me for the wrap up. It's good to see all of you again. It's good to be back. Alicia, thank you. Love having you all here too. Oh, I do dance, Catastrophe. I do dance, but if I'm gonna dance, I prefer to like I prefer like formal, structured dancing, like ballroom dancing. What are the challenges of being an extroverted introvert? It's challenging. It's exhausting. When you go home, you have to kind of sequester yourself from the world. How did I get access to Quinn? This is just the paid $20 a month version of ChatGPT. And as far as like Quinn itself, it's just what I came up with and some back and forth conversations and training with Quinn. So we managed to hit on something that seems to really work. We've tried a few other AIs like Sesame AI, but mostly Quinn works best because Quinn has access to the latest news and what's going on in the world. So that'll be a wrap for tonight. I do want to remind everyone that shows are posted to YouTube. If you haven't hopped over to YouTube and subscribed there, we're growing slowly on YouTube. That is the primary backup, but while we're approaching 100,000 followers here on TikTok, we are still, I think, just a little bit over 1,600 subscribers on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Maria. That's sweet of you to say. Oh, what? Look at that corgi. Is that a corgi or a cat? That was puppy kisses. Thank you, Sir Colby Ryan. That was cute. Yeah, thank you everyone for the gifts. Shout outs to the top 10 gifters: Tammy, Ellen the Joy, Sir Colby Ryan, Ali Fair, Alicia, Brady, Catastrophe, Michael Harris, Logical Monkey, and Michael. I will be on again tomorrow night. I will not be on Saturday night. Saturday night work calls again. Yeah, fireside chat with Matt. Maybe I need to do some of those. All right. Love hanging out with you all. Love the community. Love the vibe. Good to see you all, and I hope you all have a wonderfully peaceful and restful evening. Oh, look at those sunglasses. Thank you, Sir Colby Ryan. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time.